Hey guys, all right, so let's make an easy pencil case. All right, so we're coming back with some fabric. Here is a sham that I've been cutting up and making some things out of. So I'm gonna cut a piece of 10 by 10 fabric because that's what I told you guys to use. So let me cut my 10 by 10. Let me cut my 10 by 10, baby, baby. Baby, baby. Okay. I'm gonna cut this whole part off actually. And then I'll cut my 10 by 10 after that. So it'll be a fun pencil case. It's just some easy pencil case. You probably put something else in there too. Pencils, pens, markers. It's going to be relatively small at 10 by 10 because of course if we're just using one strip of 10 by 10, it's not going to hold like your 72 count Crayola doesn't make a color for you. I love that song. I like that part. Anyway, but it'll hold some things, and you can always play around with measurements. And and I could also give you some measurements if you wanted to make a bigger one, if you like this style, or a smaller one, whatever, and you know, any kind of size. So I'm just gonna cut this last side off. Part was thicker. All right, this part's a little flappy there. Cut that off, and we're done with that. Hey, make some more stuff with this. Yeah, I'll figure it out. Okay. So, and I will use this as my ironing mat. So there's that. Okay, here we go. So now I have this piece of fabric. I'm gonna cut 10 by 10. If your square is a bit larger, a bit smaller, no fret. Okay, no fret. We're just gonna make it work. We'll work with what we have. Okay, but 10 by 10 is just the size that I've given out for this particular product. Again, I'm using my handy dandy regular ruler, and I'm gonna mark it. I'm gonna mark it with a permanent marker because I'm okay with that. But maybe you use chalk or use fabric marker. You know, might not want to. I'm gonna mark off the 10 so I don't. You know, use something that you're not gonna see. Now I don't mind if you see mine because I just don't. And you may not mind if you see your marks. You may not mind, and that's fine too. Okay, just mark that edge right there. All right, and then I'm just gonna go on down so I can try to keep a relatively straight line. I used to have an iron. I used to have a ruler here on my table, but one of my children decided, oh, mommy doesn't need the ruler, so the ruler is gone. I have to put it. I'll probably just mark it with permanent marker now because it was like a piece of tape, which was fine and great. But one of my little ones decided, I reckon in their head, that mommy didn't need it anymore, or it was coming up in one of the places, and it was. But I mean, that didn't mean I was trying to get rid of it. All right. Crayola doesn't make a color for you. So now I'm going to cut out my 10 by 10. My cuts, as you see, they're not like crisp and straight. Well, these ones aren't. It's kind of jagged, and that's fine because, you know, we're working with it. And I'm purposefully, one of the things I'm purposefully doing is making sure that I'm not like overly perfect on anything really, because I want to make sure that you're comfortable too, right? Sewing and not thinking, oh, I can't do it like that, so I'm not doing it right. You are doing it right as long as we're learning. So now we have our 10 by 10. what we're gonna do, this is the easiest pencil case ever. You're gonna fold it up. And we're gonna sew it. And we're gonna sew down the edges a little bit. We're gonna finish these edges first. But basically what we're gonna do is take this 10 by 10 square, we're gonna fold it up. And we're gonna sew and we're gonna be done. Okay, I'm gonna teach y'all how to make a flap. All right, so what we're gonna do right now is you should iron it and turn it over. A 1/4 inch and then another 1/4 inch. So you're gonna end up taking off about 1 inch, right? If you have a serger and you know how to use it, use your serger, serge all your edges, and you can leave your edges raw. If you are courageous, and you should be, you can use a finishing stitch on your machine too. You could even use a zigzag stitch to finish your edges and keep the maximum bit of length that you have. That's a possibility too. I'm going to go ahead and press sew it, curve it over, then turn it over one more time and create a flap. Okay, so let me plug up my iron. And let me get my ironing pad here. My handy dandy ironing pad. Now you can use a ruler to make sure that it's so perfect and it's exactly a 1/4 inch. 1/4 inch. Or that sounded like a fake cough, didn't it? But it really was a real it was a real cough. It was like trying not to cough. All right. Okay. So I have a ruler. You don't have to have this one. I have my seam gauge, but I don't feel like digging it out of that thing, so I don't really want to use this. Let me be honest. I don't feel like doing like this and doing like this and all that. But you know what? You can do that. Because remember, it doesn't have to be perfect, right? I'm pressing this out because I know that I'm going to turn these edges over. And it'll be a lot of it easier to press it out. Now ironing on a on a harder surface, would be easier too. Oh, I forgot my daughter put something on the bottom of my iron. Isn't that just melodious? Oh, great. Okay. I'm gonna have to put some water in here. Look at that. You see that? I'm still going with it. Now, you could double your fabric. I'm upset at that. Oh man. Anyway, you could double your fabric to make it thicker, but really I wanted you guys to get the gist of sewing it. So we're gonna turn it over 1/4 inch and then 1/4 inch on both of the ends. So pick an end. Doesn't matter which one. Just pick one of the ends and do a 1/4 inch, press it, and then do another 1/4 inch and press it. Okay, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to actually do it with my fingers, but I want you to do a 1/4 inch and press, and then a 1/4 inch and press with your iron, and then sew it. So I'm just going to go to the my sewing machine because I don't want to have to stop and deal with my iron right now. So I'm gonna turn it over. Oops. Let it go. Turn it over and turn it over. Actually, I'm so right-handed, so just turn it over and turn it over. The more and more you sew, you will get used to a specific way and direction you like to sew, and that is perfectly normal. Like, I like to sew from this side. I don't really care to have fabric over here. I prefer to just have my fabric hanging off the side. Now always back tack from the beginning. And this is gonna be a bit on the konkonky side. I like that word, I think, konkonky. Okay, and I'm just turning as I go. But you've already pressed it because your iron is not, you know, has not been booby trapped. That's what I'm calling my iron. It's been booby trapped. You're gonna sew a straight stitch along here. Okay, remember we were practicing our straight lines? Yes. So here's where it's coming into practice, right? And if you can sew a straight line, you can pretty much sew anything. Everything starts with a straight line. Alright, go all the way down to the end. Back tack. Those edges. Sew off the edge and snip your threads. Always snip your tails. You don't have any tails hanging and sticking out, because then if somebody pulls it, it could, you know, and you haven't properly locked those edges in, which is your back tack. Then what if it comes apart? That would not be cool, especially if it's clothing, right? All right, again, the other side, you've already quarter inch, and pressed it, right? Quarter inch press, fold over another quarter inch and press, but you've already done that. Because your iron has not been booby trapped. Okay, sew a little bit, back tack. Okay. My lines are a little bit wiggly. We're almost done this part. At the end, back tack. And I like to sew off the edge. It's tight. Something was snug in there, trying to figure out if there was something was happening in there. Oh, wait a minute now. Okay, something was happening in there because I just pulled my thread out. The bobbin didn't sew right. Okay, so I have to do this over, and that happens. No, it shouldn't happen, but it happens because we saw it happen just now. So now I'm just pulling the thread out because it's already coming out. Usually, when trying to take a thread out, you got to stitch rip that thing. But on occasion, your machine will do something, and you're like, "Why? Why are you doing that, machine?" And your machine's like, "'Cause I want to." That's what the machine says when it does that kind of stuff. 'Cause I want to. That's exactly right. All right, so there's that. Here we go. Let's start over quarter. You've already done your quarter inch. Here we go. Back tack at the beginning. Always back tack. Lock in those stitches. If your stitches aren't exactly straight, please don't fret. Don't think, oh, this is the worst. It's going to look horrible. It's not. It's really not. Trust me when I tell you. It's not going to look horrible. And that's why we're here. We're here to practice. Right? And get things going well. Okay? Okay, there we go. Okay. Now, if you have a heavier cotton, or if you're working with a heavier cotton, then of course yours will be thicker than mine, which is cool too. It did it again. Oh, my bobbin thread is not wound. What in the happens? My bobbin thread is not wound properly. That's the issue. Let me snip that out. My bobbin thread was clunky. Okay, there we go. Let's try and see if that's better. All right. Let's see. Okay, that's all right. It didn't come. It didn't. Wait, did it come out? Let me see now. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is, if my iron were working, I would press. If my iron hadn't been booby trapped, I would be pressing. See, what inevitably is going to happen is this is going to have a flap like that. That's what's going to happen inevitably. Okay, that's what we're going for. This will be our pencil case look. It doesn't have to have a snap. It doesn't have to have. It'll fold over itself. So what we're going to do, let's fold this like so. And you're going to press it. So you'll fold it over about an inch, 3/4 of an inch or inch. You really don't want to go shorter than 3/4 of an inch because you want to make sure that it will close. So 3/4 of an inch and so, and then after you are I mean 3/4 of an inch and press, and then match it up with the edges with the other end. Okay, press. Pin. If you press it, you may not have to use pins, right? Because ironing it will keep the parts together. Okay, so we're going to press this right here. So act like it's pressed. Okay, I don't want to mess with my booby trapped iron. I'm going to sew a zigzag stitch because mine is fraying quite a bit. And even though this is going to be on the inside, I don't want it to fray so much that it falls apart. So I'm going to use a zigzag stitch, but you can use a straight stitch, right? Yours may not be fraying, depending on what you're using. It may be okay. But to make sure you don't have a issue of it falling apart later, you could do a zigzag stitch too. Now the thing is, when I do zigzag stitches, I also do straight stitches. Because I still like to have, there's a cough right there. Excuse me. I still like to have, I like the straight stitch. It gives on the outside. I like the way that looks better than the potential jaggedness of a zigzag stitch. So I'm gonna do a straight stitch and then I'll go back and do my zigzag stitch. So, and I'm just using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm gonna back tack. I'll pause because it's even. It looked like it might not have been even. Now I am gonna remove my pin because it's, even though it won't go under the needle, it will be lining up with it. So kind of under the presser foot part, and I don't want that. So okay, I'm gonna go and I am gonna back tack as I get to the top, and then that's that. And then because I'm gonna zigzag and I'm gonna do the same thing to the beginning and end, I mean both sides, I'm just gonna go ahead and do this side and then I'll go through and do my zigzag. So that way I'm only changing my stitch once, even though it's nothing to change your stitch. Okay, so we're going to start with our straight stitch. Again, 1/4 of an inch. Back tack, always back tack. And then here we go. Go all the way down. And back tack at the end. Okay. pull it out and snip, or if you have an automatic cutter, definitely use it. You do, when you're sewing, the things that you begin to do, or the habit you start, like I have a habit of cutting thread, so I don't use my thread cutter. Rarely ever use it. Okay, you'll do long term. So okay, meaning what you start out doing, like, so if you get used to cutting fabric, if you learn and you start cutting fabric with scissors, you'll probably continue to cut fabric with scissors. If you learn and you're cutting fabric with a rotary cutter, you're probably going to continue to use a rotary cutter. Remember, even with the zigzag stitch, you still want to backtrack at the beginning and the end. And always, of course, snip your tails. Okay, and let me zigzag the other stitch. A zigzag stitch can be used in place of a serger, or a way to finish your edges. Something else you could use are scissors. Now the word is escaping me, the actual name. I want to say paring, but that's not it. That's like I'm thinking paring as in paring knife. That is not the word, y'all. I know that's not the word. Okay. But the little zigzag scissors. Guess what, y'all? We're done. We're done this pillowcase. I mean, I'm just calling everything the wrong name. Done with our pencil case. So see, we've sewed up the sides. Now we're going to flip it around, flip it right side out. And look, you still have that part. Remember we folded that down? Well, now we're going to fold it over like this. And look what we have. We have a pencil case, or a purse, depending on what size you made it, or a bag, or whatever you make it. I want to try to press it down again, but I don't want to burn it. But this is it. That's our pencil case, guys. And let's see, my Sharpie will fit. That's all I got. I got a pen. My pen will fit, and it'll stay in there. Now this fabric is very thin. Yeah, this fabric is very thin, but if you have a thicker fabric, or if you want to double the fabric, that could work. But look how quickly we sewed that up. That's amazing, right? It's poking up. I want you to be able to see it, but let me turn it upside down. Maybe you'll get a better view. All right, awesome. You might even, well, not mine, these scissors. Well, no, they will fit. I was going to say they won't fit, but they will fit. So look at all the things you can fit in there, and you can just carry this with you, right? It could even be a little clutch. All right, so there you go. We've sewed a pencil case, guys. Awesome. I want to see pictures of yours in the comments below. Please post them and tag me so I can see them. All right, bye. Have a great day on purpose.